Hey guys, this is Justin and I'm in my favorite country in the world, which is UK. Love the people, love the weather, although it rains a little bit, and love the food. And today we are going to talk about one of the most asked questions among photographers, which is how to choose your first lens. Let's go! So you've got your first camera. Doesn't matter whether it's from Sony, Fuji, Panasonic, Canon or any other brand, and let's say you're looking to upgrade your existing kit lens or just looking for your first lens. How do you choose it? Watch till the end of the video because I've got an absolute important tip that you really have to know. So before we get any further, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification button beside to get notified every time I post a video. Also, follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna be having my name tag here alongside with my username. Follow me there because that's where I'm most active at. And if you're looking for the written article of this video, check out my website at www.justintanYJ.com. Contact me, email me, text me, message me, slap me, anything you want. Just contact me. Alright, just reach out. The world of lenses is really intimidating, especially if you don't know what you're looking for, and with so many choices, you might end up buying something that you don't even use or you don't even like. But need not to worry because right here I have 4 simple steps that you can follow that will definitely help you in deciding what is your first lens. Step 1. A simple trick that I've learned while I was doing my research as well as when I was choosing my first lens is that always think about what would you like to achieve with your camera. For example, I want to be a vlogger, I want to be on YouTube. So the most logical thing for me to do is to get myself a wide-angle lens. The main logic behind it is because I would like to film myself as well as my surroundings in it. It could be the same for you, or just choose from these options. Would you like to pursue your interest in portraits, landscape, macro, or in-betweens? Generally, you'll be wise to choose from these 4 categories, and obviously there are more subcategories, but why complicate things for now? If your interest is in portraits, which includes portraiture, street, fashion, sports, and wildlife, and anything that involves a subject and a background, then it would be wise to go for a higher focal length that usually ranges from 50 to 100 millimeters. You'll be able to focus on your subject while blurring out the background as well, given that the lighting is good or your aperture is wide enough. So if your interest is in landscape, which includes like nature, architectural, aerial, city, urban photography, then my advice for you is to go as low as you can on your focal length. Go for wide-angle lenses, which usually ranges from 10 to 50 millimeters. And with the wide-angle lens, you'll be able to get almost everything in your shot in focus, from the middle to the side. And this is vital for landscape photography. Easier way to do this is to remember that portraits go high and landscapes go low. If your interest is in macro photography, which includes food, products, insects, plants, I guess, something like that, then it's easier for you guys. Why? Because there are specific lenses that shoots macro. So just choose from these kind of ranges, or just look for any lenses that has the macro capabilities. Like some of the lenses, they have a specific focal length that you can use for macro. But what if you're looking for something versatile and in-betweens? Then my suggestion for you is to get yourself a standard zoom lens that usually ranges from 17 to 55 millimeters. It's great for travel, it's great if you're going anywhere else, and it just shoots everything, like from wide to telephoto. Step 2. Let's talk about budget. Well, in the world of lenses, there are 2 types of categories: prime lens versus zoom lens. Prime lens, simple said, is you can't zoom with the lens, while zoom lens explains itself, you can zoom the lens. Prime lenses are usually cheaper because of the simplicity in its build, while zoom lenses are a bit more expensive because it's more complex to build. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean that prime lenses are cheap while zoom lenses are expensive. Obviously, they both have their own higher end models that usually comes with a wider aperture. If you're into portraits, then my recommendation for you is to go for a 50mm lens. It could be the Canon's 50mm f1.8 or, wait, it could be this one, the one from Yongnuo. They have exactly the same design, it's just that they changed the color. They have a red ring just to copy the L series from Canon, and it works great. If you want to find out more about this lens here that costs half the price of Canon's Nifty 50, then check out the video right here. I think it's on the left side, yeah, right here. If you're into landscape photography, then my suggestion for you is to get yourself a basic lens like the one from Sigma. The one I'm using right now is the Sigma 10 to 20mm f4 to 5.6 DCHSM. This is a great lens that produces really sharp images, and it has 10mm focal length, so that's really wide. If you're into macro, then my recommendation for you is to go for a Canon EFS 35mm. If you're on a full frame, then go for the 100mm. This is the one that I've been using so far, and it works great. It's just that being a macro lens, it kind of struggles a bit in autofocus. So you kind of need to like guide the autofocus itself to focus where you want to focus. If you're keen in traveling, you're looking for something versatile, then why not go for the kit lens? 18 to 55mm works great. I have no complaints about this. Find out how to use your kit lens in my video here as well. I made a video about it previously, so check it out. Step 3. Let's talk about aperture. Aperture is the measure of how much light can enter your lens. The wider the aperture, the more light that can enter your lens. Having a wider aperture like f1.8 allows you to have more light entering your lens, which translates to better low light photography. Also, if you're looking to achieve that blurry background, always remember that having a wider aperture really helps. Look for f1.8, f2.8, f3.5, blah blah blah, written on the lens itself to find out how much light can enter that lens. Back to the previous topic of prime lens and zoom lenses. Prime lenses usually have wider apertures because they are more simple to build, hence the design itself allows them to have a wider aperture and usually comes with a cheaper price. Zoom lenses still can have a wider aperture, but they are usually really expensive and it's really heavy as well. Well, don't forget that aperture is a really important aspect to look at, so don't neglect it because it will affect the performance of your lens as well as the price. Step 4. This is a part where most people neglect, especially when you're just starting out. Let's talk about sensor size. So when you're just starting out like I did last time, I don't really care about how big is my sensor and stuff like that. I only cared about how many megapixel, what's the resolution, can it shoot 2K, can it shoot 4K, can it shoot full HD, stuff like that. But that's the one thing that people usually don't ask about, the sensor size. Generally, we have 3 types of sensor size: full frame, APS-C, as well as micro four thirds. So why is sensor size so important? Sensor size is important because it determines your true focal length. You can have any kind of focal length written on the lens itself, but if you put it on different kind of sensors, it will give you a different kind of focal length. For example, if you're on full frames, then life is easy for you. If you have a 50mm lens, then the true focal length would be 50mm because there's no crop factor, you have the full frame. So let's say if you're on APS-C, for example, right now, the Canon 80D that I'm using right now, every time I purchase a lens or every time I look at a new lens, I have to consider the crop factor. This lens that ranges from 10 to 20mm will be 16mm at the lowest point. A normal 50mm lens on an APS-C sensor would be 80mm. Why? Because of the 1.6 crop factor. Because the sensor is smaller, so there's a crop factor to it. So the magnification and the crop factor will be 1.6, so just times 1.6 to whatever focal length that you're looking at. 50 times 1.6 equals to 80 millimeters. If you're on micro four thirds, then things get cropped even more. 2 times of crop. A 50 millimeter lens like this would be 100 millimeters on your micro four thirds. Just times 2 to whatever focal length that you're looking at. 50 times 2 is 100, 10 times 2 is 20 millimeters. So if you're looking to go really wide angle on a micro four thirds, then you're gonna struggle a bit because not much of wide angle lens are out there. So I'm not saying that it's impossible for you to achieve 10 millimeters, but it's really hard. Well, there's a lot more about sensor that we can go on for hours and hours and hours, but let's just leave those for the next videos, okay? Once you go through these 4 steps, then you'll be able to narrow down your options in deciding your first lens. First step is to decide what do you want to do. What do you want to major in? Portrait, landscape, macro, and in-betweens. Second step would be to go for prime or zoom. You have to decide which one would you like. Third would be the aperture, because aperture affects the price so much as well as the performance of your lens. And fourth would be to consider as well on your sensor size. Are you on full frame, APS-C, or micro four thirds? Also, a bonus tip for you guys is to always consider having a used lens, because a lot of them actually come in a really great condition. For example, my first ever lens, which is this Sigma lens, is actually second-hand, but I'm still using it till today and it works great. It's really sharp as well, and I have no regrets buying that. I got this for only 6,000 pesos, which is around $100. Those are the steps I take whenever I'm buying a new lens or I'm researching for one, and I'm pretty sure these steps will definitely help you too. Obviously, there are more concerns to talk about, like weight and portability, but those kind of stuff doesn't really concern me that much. I'm more on functions. So I don't think you should care that much about that as well. Like if you like this video and share with your friends if you think that they can learn something from it. Also subscribe to my channel because there are more content like this coming out, rolling out soon. I have a really busy schedule, working, traveling here and there, but I try to make as much as video as I can for you guys. Also follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna be having my name tag as well as my username here again. So follow me there to find out when is my latest video coming out and what kind of pictures that I'm taking nowadays and stuff like that. And if you're looking for the written article to be referred on later on, because I'm gonna be having more stuff in there, like more tables, explaining focal length, explaining aperture and stuff like that even more, then check out my website at www.justintanyj.com. Thank you so much guys, and I really appreciate it. This is me signing off for now. Until next time. Bye-bye.